Can you imagine that Counter-Strike will turn 25 this year and is still as relevant as on day one, if not even more? A simple little mod for Half-Life that has become a titan of the FPS genre. And no matter where you look, its DNA is everywhere. But why is it still so relevant after a quarter of a century? How did a simple mod manage to stand out from the crowd? And why will it never be replaced? Counter-Strike has achieved many things that other games can only dream of. It founded an entire genre with just two main ingredients: simplicity and complexity. We have always had very simplistic games like Doom or Quake, and likewise we've had complex and strategic games like Rainbow Six, but one lacked what the other had. Games like Quake were fast, action-packed and mindless, but after a while they couldn't really challenge you. There was a lack of dynamism to offer something different from what you already knew. On the other hand, Rainbow Six was very dynamic and tactical. Your best weapon here was your brain. Planning was everything, but it played out rather slowly, lacking some action, something that blows your mind, gives you an adrenaline rush. Counter-Strike combined the best of both worlds. A strategic, slow and methodical approach, but very hectic, fast and dynamic gameplay as soon as you decided to execute a tactic or a play. It was good, but how good? Let me put it this way. Locally, you couldn't enter a cyber cafe without hearing someone yell callouts or see the map Iceworld on people's screens. Do you remember Iceworld? I certainly do. Internationally, it was shaping the esports scenes like nothing before. Tournaments were starting in the early 2000s, and in December of 2001 Counter-Strike already had its first major, which Ninjas in Pyjamas won, by the way. Maybe now you can appreciate how old some of the teams we know and love actually are. Counter-Strike is absolutely timeless. It's like chess. It has no gimmicks or questionable features. No huge manual or a high level of knowledge you need to possess to understand it. It's the purest form of skill that you have to bring match after match to leave the server as the winner. Every game won was only achieved because you made the right decisions, because you were precise, because your smokes or flashes were thrown flawlessly. It's the work of your brain, your hand-eye coordination and your understanding of your opponent's behavior. And that's exactly what makes it so attractive to me, and most likely to you. Walking, sneaking, jumping, crouching and shooting. 5 game mechanics to achieve everything. But each of those mechanics brings hidden mechanics that you must understand to become good in this game. Counter-Strike is really easy to learn, but incredibly hard to master. Starting with every weapon, which has its own recoil pattern, to every smoke or flash, to movement. It is designed to suck you in, because the truth is, you don't need any of this. But as long as your aim, your movement and your game sense aren't balanced and equally good, you'll never really get far. And since it's directly related to esports, it was able to leverage this advantage on platforms like Twitch and YouTube. It's just fun to watch. Even if you never played it yourself, you will understand what it's about. Sure, streaming or video content about it is a huge help to keep Counter-Strike relevant now. But what about all of those years when Twitch or YouTube weren't really a thing yet? In 2004, Counter-Strike Source released and did something which should have killed Counter-Strike. You see, Source split the community in two. Professional and competitive players complained about Source being too easy. The skill ceiling was brought down, they said. So they went back to 1.6. But not everyone was sharing this opinion, so some of them switched over to Source. It weakened Counter-Strike's reason for existence. A game which only existed to be played competitively. But would you believe that Source, a game which was counterproductive at what the title was going for, brought it to new heights? Source introduced a ton of variety through custom game modes, which was appealing to a wider range of people. How big of a variety are we talking here? Well, let me tell you that you could switch games without switching the game. No matter in what mood you were that day, Source had the fitting mod or server. Deathmatch, yeah. Gun game, we had that. Zombies, sure thing. Death run, surfing, climbing, minigames, jailbreak, and many more that I can't think of right now. It was highly moddable, and it evolved from a game into a hub, which offered you so many alternatives. You could play Counter-Strike for years without touching the competitive side, and you wouldn't miss out on anything. And if you played Counter-Strike back then, chances were that you joined a community, a bunch of random strangers who shared the same passion for those game modes. Strangers who would quickly become friends. Friends you would spend countless hours hopping from their favorite game mode to yours and making even more friends on the way. And thanks to its many game modes and communities, Counter-Strike felt like home in a way. No matter how many games you had or which new game released, you would always come back to it. And so it remained relevant over the years, thanks to its timeless game design, which is very simple yet impossible to predict, as each player brings something completely different to the field. You can play 5 matches of Dust 2 and none of them will resemble the other. Because it's not the hero or the special attack that directs the game, but the human behind the monitor. And of course, thanks to the freedom to venture out from the competitive formula and see what else is possible with the Source engine. The reason Counter-Strike could stand out from the crowd is as simple as its gameplay mechanics. The game was released in 1999, just as the internet and its infrastructure were spreading rapidly and becoming stronger. More people could afford to be online and play. Moreover, it was the perfect game you could try out with your friends. We spent years bashing each other's heads in games like Doom. Now it was finally time to come together and work as a team. Communication, tactics and strategies. Everything had to be agreed upon and executed in the shortest time possible. Another big interesting point was that the gameplay matched the world in which the game was set. You weren't a fantasy hero. You were a member of real anti-terrorism units, which gave it that extra something. You knew Navy SEALs, the SAS, the GSG-9 or the GEGN. Now you were one of them. You knew the weapons from popular action movies like the M4, the AK, the Deagle or the AWP. Now you held one of those weapons in your hands. It wasn't a simple team deathmatch or capture the flag, which meant little. It was hostage situations or bomb threats that you had to deal with. Your goal had another meaning besides just reaching the kill limit. What made your job even harder, of course, was the round time, because it was always against you. Take too much time or hesitate for too long here and there, and that's it. The round goes to the opponents. And trust me, I wouldn't want to be present in the voice chat if you were the culprit. Every round had the potential to make your heart race. I don't know any game that made my pulse rise higher than Counter-Strike over all of these years. A 1 versus 3 clutch situation. The bomb is ticking and you have absolutely zero information about the enemies. Your chances were slim, but deep down you wished for exactly this situation when you agreed to the match. Now it was your time to shine. But let's stay realistic, you messed up the round. And you could feel the other 4 people in your team judge you. Fun times really. Counter-Strike stayed true to its original formula, tweaking stuff here and there, but gameplay always came first. You can start up 1.6 now and play for a few rounds, switch over to CS2 and it will pretty much feel the same. Sure, the newer iterations feel more refined and polished. Yes, but that's just the nature of things. If you do something for over 20 years, you become better at it. And I know CS2 is in a rough position at the moment, but if you think this will be the norm, I can assure you that it won't. But that's a topic for another video. The main reason why Counter-Strike just exists in such a peerless manner is that over the years the core game stayed the same. Something people grew to love. Something the game could offer you back in 1999 and is still offering you in 2024. Can you name a single game which can offer the same? I really can't, and I actually would love to hear your opinion on this. I have to rant about something here. Do you remember the games from your childhood, or even 5 years back really? Games that you would love to play with friends because they were fun, and you could spend hours on it because no game gave you a thing to get frustrated for too long about. Why is it so necessary nowadays to release a game, look at all the positive feedback from your players and be like, hey, people really love our game for its gameplay. Let's change that completely when we release the next title, yeah? It's so dumb over and over again. I mean, look at what happens if you don't do shit like that. An insignificant guy makes an insignificant video about you. Who wouldn't want that? Tell me, how do you replace the default? How do you replace the foundations that define a genre? Counter-Strike's DNA is in every competitive shooter. You can add so much to it and incorporate new things, but you can't take anything away without losing the basics. Over the years, many shooters have come along wanting to share a spot with Counter-Strike. Some of them came very close, but none really succeeded. Your game must have an infinite flow of content to remain relevant, such as with season passes, new characters, new abilities, new weapons, and the list goes on. And I'm not saying that Rainbow Six Siege or Valorant, for example, are bad. Quite the opposite actually, they offer a fresh change with all the little things they add to the game every few months. But they remain just that, a fresh change. But what's more important is that they are competing with Counter-Strike on a level that no one really could. With all that said, eventually, you get tired of the 69th operator with the ability to turn invisible or teleport. Eventually, the time comes when you need the standard again, without utility that you can shoot across the map, or worry about someone 3 rooms away killing you through a kill hole. Sometimes, less is simply more. Counter-Strike, the benchmark of FPS esports. Simple. Timeless.
That's gonna get the nerves going. Round the world. He's baited him in. They can't find him. Twist distracted. If he could just do it again. He's on it. And he's tapping it. Rob's nervous in the big stage. As Bit closes it out.
And probably is gonna outlive all of us.
No. Turns around. Perfecto. Gone. They're all there. Roki shatters Na'Vi in one
Thanks for your time.